Go back. Thank you for joining me to learn about Pharmanex. And today I'm going to talk about the 6S. Pharmanex 6S is very unique. It is probably the only standard and the only criteria that sets this company Pharmanex apart from all nutritional company and any natural remedy company in the world. I don't care how good they claim their products are and how many testimonial they can provide you. Pharmanex, I can say it is the only company in the world that can produce natural remedy by following a very strict scientific standard. And we are going to show you the 6S because it is set up by Pharmanex. It is patented. My background give me some insight about Pharmanex because after I received my master's degree from University of Georgia, I joined Merck Pharmaceutical, and 12 years with Merck, I was promoted to senior research scientist before I departed from Merck. New Skin is a company I joined 1989. New Skin started out with skincare products. Later on, it branches to Pharmanex. It is not a pharmaceutical company, but it is far better, in my opinion, from a scientist point of view and pharmaceutical research point of view, far effective and far safe. For me, I am really grateful that I had some background with understanding of this nutrition supplement and natural remedy, because when I worked for Merck, I was involved with the natural remedy research. And from that research, 10 years, we had studied many natural remedies from all over the world, not just Chinese products, Chinese herbs. They are, herbs and grass and all kinds of things that ethnic people from different ethnic background, even from remote area like Amazon River region, they use all kinds of natural plant they can find surrounding them to deal with a lot of health issues. Merck being a pharmaceutical company, the goal is to always finding new products, new treatment. And Merck at that time was, vowed to be the leading new discovery. We didn't do any of the new medicine or drug by follow other people's procedures, or we call it Me Too products. Merck always find the innovative products. So Merck did 10-year study, and at the end, this natural remedy project had to put a stop because they find out after 10 years, no matter how hard and how brilliant those chemists are, they could not alter nature in order from pharmaceutical company to make money and profit from whatever research they had, the scientists had done. They must be able to patent. Even for the natural remedy, they need to patent it. Otherwise, if natural remedy cannot be patented, so the scientists had to alter it, make some deviation of the natural kind of structure, chemical elements find in the natural property. They have to do the alteration. Otherwise, they cannot get patent. Because of that fact, Merck decided to abolish the program because after numerous try, they could not come out with anything after alteration, still maintain the same integrity, the quality, the safety, like a natural remedy. So the program was abolished, but the leader of that project, the new lead discovery director at that time, is Dr. Michael Chen. Michael Chen decided this is a terrible wisdom to or knowledge to be wasted, because after so many years, he had found through the study, the natural remedy actually come up with a lot of leads that can possibly like potentiate your immune system, modulate the immune system, or dealing with the hypertension problem, or this kind of approach is a very exciting and very, very effective, because he find the natural remedy has been tested by history, and the history saved them. And after years in population study and usage of those remedy, we keep them, still using them. There must be a good reason. So he departed from Merck. He quit Merck 1994, and he started out his own company, Pharmanex. And in addition to just extract the active component or potent component from the plant, he made some some advanced requirements or process procedure, and then at the end he come up with this term 6S. And today we're going to talk Pharmanex 6S. And like I said, it is the reason why Pharmanex is so good, so effective. It is quality assurance. And this quality assurance that Pharmanex guarantee you will get something different from Pharmanex. First of all, let's discuss why do we choose to use natural remedy and how we choose them in the past before we know there is a product, there is a company called Pharmanex out there. Because in the past, we actually are kept in blind and in the darkness to when we choose whatever natural remedy we want to use. We heard, and through years of our elderly's experience, some Chinese herbs or herbs from the ancient wisdom, they are really good. They have been years and years of using them throughout the history. And somehow when we were young, as we get cold, as we get heat, we have fever, our grandmother would treat us this and this way. But as we get older, as we get more sophisticated, we started to, and this old way of brewing your herbs become ancient and time wasting, we consider. And sometimes we must have to find some way we can conveniently use them. So when we choose, how we choose these, decide the natural remedy, which one we should take, which company we can trust, we are actually in total blind darkness, because sometimes product claim they have scientific research. There's only one scientist behind. And sometimes we claim these product has been carefully manufactured. It's actually no manufacturing standard at all, or there is no safety to prove. Nothing we can prove to make to document to know it is actually safe for us. So sometimes we hear suddenly there's a popular trend. Everybody seems to be taking this and this item. As I remember many years ago, a lot of people are taking a growth hormone. We call growth hormone promotant. Growth hormone somehow seem to be anti-aging, secret to reverse aging. All of a sudden, we seem to know our neighbors and family are taking them, but it died down very fast. Do you remember? It just died down, and suddenly nobody heard about it. Do you know why? Because growth hormone can trigger a lot of harmful effect in your health, and as a lot of like Time magazine and Newsweek magazine, as I remember, it's very dangerous to take growth hormone because it promotes cancer growth in your body. And For example, sourcing. How do we know the product we are taking is actually coming from the right source or coming from a fake source? For example, many years ago in the United States, there are a lot of people still taking we call it 紫锥花. It's a product, it's a flower, it's a purple flower. The Indian people, Native American Indian, they take them for a lot of remedy, for a lot of purpose, and especially to boost your immune system. Okay, and after we learn from Pharmanex, find out what people are buying from GNC or health food store, and those products can come from any source. They could come from the plant, flower, or the leaves, but the real potent part is from the root, and it has to be 4 years old. Wow, that is through Pharmanex study. But how do we know that? When we go to GNC, we buy the product, we look the label, we find the dosage, and we decided, that is what I want. It may not be, because there's no regulation that prevents you from taking the fake product, because according to the standard in the United States, FDA, FDA look at those natural remedy as food. They treat them as food. Food, they don't regulate, because FDA only regulate drugs. But sometimes when they are contaminated, when they are becoming a health issue problem, like ma huang combined with caffeine can help people lose weight very fast. But FDA noticed sometimes people would die from taking ma huang. But one fatality, 2 and 3 and 4. After 86 people actually died from ma huang and caffeine combination, suddenly it's becoming alert, and FDA started to pay attention. And then one very young athlete just died from this product, this combination of weight loss product from one take. Just take once, he took just one, and so just next day he collapsed. So it became the issue. Then they start to intervene. That is the only time the FDA would intervene with any not so good natural remedy, or we call nutritional supplement. But by then, isn't it too late already? In our point of view, in my point of view as a consumer, I don't want to be the statistic. I want to be perfectly protected. I want to take something that is very, very effective, but safety comes first. Something that is very effective may not be safe at all. I don't want to risk my life or risk any side effects. Ma huang plus caffeine is one example. It's very effective in weight loss, but it could kill you. Would you want to be killed for that? All right. Standardization. Because natural products or anything come from Mother Nature, it could differ from location to location because soil difference. It could be different from year to year because of the weather pattern, the sunlight, the water condition, the drought, the rain. Okay, everything can, in our environment, can change the growth pattern from the natural remedy we're taking. We could be brewing the same thing, the same way, the same procedure, but the plant is not the different. It is not the same year to year, from different location to different location. So our standardization is very important, how we standardize them, from batch to batch. Safety, a lot of times Chinese or natural remedy can be laced. Lace meaning some very not so ethical merchants, they would lace with drug, with the medication, to make it effective. I even heard from some of my colleagues when I work for Merck, my colleague would say, why don't we just come out with a product that help people to do this and this and this? All we have to do is spike it with a little medication. And I said, what? How can you do that? That is totally illegal. That is immoral. I don't think that would be the right way to make money or profit from anything that is so unethical. But believe me, there are merchants out there, they could do that. Okay, contamination. Contamination is a big issue, big problem. Not only the raw material can be contaminated with heavy metal, but a manufacturing process can be contaminated with all kinds of bacteria, fungus, and germs, and so on. The way we store them, the way we process them. Okay, there was one time a very popular product, natural, claimed to be natural product, heavily advertised on the radio, claiming to be a natural way of Viagra that give you the result of Viagra, but very safe because it is from herbs. Okay, suddenly it just the business really exploded, and one of the local newspaper in New Jersey, the Star Ledger, I read it on the newspaper. The reporter decided to investigate or check it out to find out how come this unheard of company suddenly appear on the horizon and starting to make profit, like, astonishing growth. After they follow the registration information, find the location where it is manufactured, to their surprise, this item is manufactured in a automobile body shop. Honestly, that is a big shock. It was on the newspaper. Suddenly the business just collapsed and disappeared. But before that, how many people would have to took the wording, the advertisement from the radio, and decide they should take this natural, all powerful, very effective and very safe product. They have no way to find out, to check, to find out the safety of this product, because ordinary people like you and I, we don't own analytical labs. To analyze the real content of the product, you have to be put through a process of we call analytical chemistry. And through that, you will find out there is contamination, there is heavy metal, there is some poison even, or drug, medication. This type of information is happening all the time. This kind of things, story all over. It is, of course, US FDA has very strict law, but they don't have manpower to really reinforce, to really follow and check every single nutritional product in the market. So anytime you heard the claim, this product is FDA approved, this natural product is FDA approved, then you should automatically turn your ears off, because FDA does not approve this we call natural product or Chinese remedy or whatever, herbal product. They don't make any investigation, or there's no way FDA want to approve anything. It's not their job. It is not their territory. Okay, that, like I said, the only time they will intervene is there are any death, okay, any fatal cases happening, then they start to interfere. Finally, we come to the point, substantiation. We heard a lot of times people say, oh, this product that you are taking, it has a lot of scientific study. They did a lot of clinical study, and the clinical study is very proven this product works. Okay, this is the time you want to raise the question. We want to see the test. If you say there's clinical test, please give me the paper. You want to see the paper. You want to see where it is published. Okay, let me go by one and share with you what Pharmanex deliver for you. The 6S quality assurance is the highest standard in the industry. This piece of newspaper, I thought I should, even though it's in Chinese, I just bring it up to show you. The year was 2013. Taiwan, there was a big issue about food safety. And it just happened that year, the Asia Pacific Food Science, International Food Science Safety or Food Safety Committee or conference is hosted by Taipei, group of scientists in Taipei. And they invite Nu Skin. They invited the Nu Skin pharmaceutical, our research center scientist, Winter Dersch. Winter Dersch reported why Pharmanex has 6S standard, how it is carefully executed, and how this way is the only way to achieve the highest standard and to achieve a standard like everybody should follow, but actually none of the company in the industry actually follow, because it just required too many investment, too much capital investment. Let me go by. 6S is the only way that we can bring anything that comes from nature to a way we can prove its efficacy scientifically. All right. The sequence is through selection, sourcing, structure, standardization, safety, and substantiation. Through this step, 6S steps, we can carefully and share with everybody you want to understand about Nu Skin and Pharmanex standard, then we want to share with you. This is the only reason why I feel so proud of Pharmanex, because we are totally different. Just like when I work for Merck. Merck decide high quality by being the number one, the leading innovator in the pharmaceutical industry. We don't do any me too drugs, but Pharmanex has a higher, even much higher standard, moral standard, and also manufacturing standard, because pharmaceutical company only starts from structure, standardization, safety, and substantiation. This is what they follow. They will follow 4S, but Nu Skin, Pharmanex, we follow 6S. 6S because anything comes from nature, there are a lot of things to be considered. Mother Nature provide anything different, and because it's not chemically manufactured, then we need to have 2 more S to follow. Selection part, okay, you start reading from the left. Provo request. Provo is our headquarters in United States, Utah, Provo, Utah. Pharmanex headquarters send out a request based on 2 criteria. The first one is research and clinical information. The research and clinical information is the 4 criteria as below. In the the listed under historic use, effectiveness, safety, and resource. Okay, we have to have these criteria must use these 4 criteria to provide us the selection candidate. We narrow down the selection candidate because of these 4. They have to be historically used, and because it's effective, so the history will screen and maintain and still being used right now. And because it is being used right now, we know it is safe or not safe. Preferably if they are still being used even as food, because food has to be safe, right? And then it's easy to get the resource, to have plentiful resource. Then, of course, we are in this business to meet market need. Market demand is important. Market demand will give us large market and solve a lot of people's health issue because we are only trying to deal with a lot of people's problem. If it is a lot of people's problem, that means we can do a lot of good deeds, all right? So after all these, they would send it to a candidate proposal to a selection final panel. The panel will select based on these research and clinical information and market demand. And Provo will have a product development committee decide on this product, and then they start to do the product research and development. After this committee's recommendation, they will do the research and development, and then they will starting to do the manufacturing process that yields a new product. So let's look at the historic use. We want to find from the historic record. You know, the Chinese people had been recorded the natural remedy use, herbal use, history, thousands of years. And even because Chinese, there's a 本草纲目 and 金匮要略, 2 different major ancient Chinese herbal collections and histories and wisdoms throughout the years being it's time tested and recorded. Now, how about some historical use by ethnic people? Some of them they don't have, written language, but they still carry out this wisdom through word to word, mouth to mouth, people to people, and there's even to the shape doctors in the like tribal people and so on. So after we collect those information, we will have a better idea. And with this idea, we find out whether they still use them or not. If they still use them, do they still even use them as food? All right, that is the very important part. Effectiveness, do we have clinical data? Are they reliable? Have they been proven by science? That is, if we have any possible data, document, research work available, we would like to have them together and go over by our committee to evaluate whether they are reliable. Are those scientific experiments designed in a right way? And how is the quality of the research work, and so on. Safety, sometimes natural remedy has some toxicity report. That is all fine in the even the ancient study, and fine in the clinical modern day science toxicity data. Even for Chinese, we call the 本草纲目. They classify the herbs into different, I think 4 different categories. Some of them are absolutely safe. We call it 上上, meaning the highest extreme level, that means it's absolutely safe and is beneficial for all organs, and a lot of systems can benefit from this one. It's called 上上. And then there are some recorded on the 本草纲目, it's 下下, meaning it's toxic, it is very dangerous, but sometimes we have to use it because, okay, it's necessary. All right. Even so, we want to know if they have such toxicity, and is there any toxin related study? All right. So not to say that Pharmanex use anything that is toxic. We don't use anything toxic, but having any report, any data that has any possibility of toxin part of a very safe plant, then it's good. For example, green tea. Most people regard green tea very, very safe, right? It is very safe. It's a beverage. Everybody drink green tea. Some people drink it a lot, but to me, I find in the past, I cannot drink tea after lunchtime. If I would drink tea after lunch, I could not sleep that night. I could drink coffee, but I cannot drink tea because caffeine in the green tea. It is somehow my system cannot process and cannot detoxin the tea caffeine. Okay, so green tea, our Pharmanex have a product called Tea Green. We remove caffeine from the tea. We want to bring up the concentration or the potency of the tea green, so we can achieve the higher protection for the cell protection level. In order for that to happen, we must remove the caffeine from tea. We have to also remove some of the diuric component of the tea too, because I drink a lot of teas. I would go to the bathroom a lot, urinate too often, sometimes becoming a nuisance. Of course, that is not an effect I want. I want to drink tea for cancer prevention that is being established. I want to take green tea because it helps me with the regulate, sometimes help my blood sugar. I would want to drink because I read on the study. I want to have the tea because I want to have some benefit from the cancer, anti-cancer effect. So, but safety is very important. All right, we talk about that a little bit when we come to the safety part. And sourcing, and I apologize for this two Chinese. I could not make the PowerPoint into English because every time I try, I tap, I change this Chinese to English, the whole thing just disappeared. It just gone. I don't know. So I must tell you by wording, is the source abundant? That is, and is the abundant source provide us with steady quantity? Quantity is steady, then sourcing is not just abundant here and there once and every other year or so, but continuously abundant. That is what we want, right? So let's take an example, sourcing selection. G3. G3 is exactly a good example, like as I described, Provo sent a request. Provo sent this request. We need to find an outstanding antioxidant nutrition. Number 2, the request says it can be measured. The benefits should be able to be measured, all right? And the components should be measured after we drink it. And the product should provide cellular protection and it should increase internal antioxidant production of the antioxidant. So that is the request. And now after that request, the selection starting to begin. We try to find different kinds of fruit from the world. We search worldwide. We search and search and search. 3 years later, we said, this is what they said, scientists said, after all fruits failed, Nu Skin rigorous selection standard, okay, there are 4 major fruit pass the test. What do we call it? 4 plus 1. It's important to understand that plus 1. They are called superfruit. These are the superfruit combined we found in our G3: goji berry, gag, sealy fruit, and Siberian pineapple. And that plus 1 is gag fruit. Goji berry, Siberian pineapple, and sealy fruit, they are fruits from very remote geographic locations. They are from, like goji berry, they are a fruit can only be served or used as a dried form, a preserved form. They cannot be existing in a juice form or real fruit form. I don't think anybody had ever buy goji berry from a grocery store. Have we? No, as a fruit. I don't mean dry one. As a fruit or as a real fruit stand, we don't find goji berry. Do you know why? Because it is so delicate, so tender, and so easy to be destroyed. I mean, perished because of this tender skin it has, and it's this tender skin wrap a lot of just juice. So if we move or carry it somewhere, just totally perish it. Siberian pineapple and sealy fruit are found in either high mountain or in a desert. And these 2 fruits are, be honest with you, not very tasteful. Reason why they are not found in the fruit stand is not that has no economic or commercial value to really sell them, because hardly anybody want to eat any untasteful fruit. All right, gag is another one. Gag is totally untasteful. It's actually no taste because it is found in Vietnam, Southeastern Asia. When I went to Vietnam took the trip to Mekong River, along the river, some very like a fishing village on the side, on riverbank, they have some gag fruit plant. They carry the fruit. The gag fruit is, you find them sporadically once in a while, but you don't find them like growing in large quantity because it is very low commercial value as a fruit. But Vietnamese people would eat them, use them only for celebration of like a happy event, a wedding or Chinese or the New Year. Their New Year to color the rice. So the rice will come out in a bright red color, and it stands for happiness. But I guess it does not affect the taste of rice. Otherwise, people will not want, So you find these kind of fruit, but we call them superfruit. Why? Because superfruit contains, the first one is from the G3, beta carotene. If you read from the right, beta carotene is 10 times the beta carotene of carrots. And zeaxanthin is 40 times of the corn, yellow corn. Okay, we call this yellow corn's yellow color is another carotenoid. It's called zeaxanthin. It's very important. Nowadays, a lot of product talk about using zeaxanthin to use this and that, and they are very expensive if you buy them individually. It seems to be the most powerful or potent and popular beta carotene now on the market, and highly, because it affects hundreds of our genes. And orange, vitamin C, you find in orange there are lots of vitamin C, but G3's vitamin C is 60 times the vitamin C of orange. And the last one is the lycopene. Lycopene content is 70 times of tomatoes lycopene. So you look at these, is the potency of each one of the ingredients, major parts that we want to benefit from, is 10 times, 40 times, 60 times, 70 times. It's really powerful. That's no wonder we call it super fruit. But the super fruit, GAG, has a very special property. I guess a lot of people probably know carotenoids need to be absorbed together with oil. We call it fatty acid or fat soluble. There's fat soluble kind of nutrition carotenoids, beta carotene, the zeaxanthin, and lycopene. And that's why many years ago, people talk about why Italian men have less case of the ratio of prostate cancer, because they eat in their daily stack of their spaghetti with lots of tomato sauce, and then they would their pizza is topped with lots of tomato sauce, and that they attribute the reason for less prostate cancer for Italian men. But later, suddenly a lot of carotenoids or lycopene or tomato juice is becoming the most popular drink, most popular beverage all over. Wherever I go, it's like people drink tomato juice, right? I read another paper to disappoint all those consumers that consume a lot of tomato juice. It's ineffective. In order for you to absorb all those carotenoids, you need to take it after the meal together with some oil, because this very important element, or carotenoids, is only fat soluble. You cannot absorb any that is drink straight. You have to take it together with your meal. And now GAG. GAG is a very special fruit. It has its own fatty acid. It's like durian. Durian contains a lot of fatty acid, like very fattening. But GAG is similar, very similar. It contains carotenoids, the lycopene and beta carotene, but it also comes with fat. Oil is part of the component of GAG fruit. And that is why we can absorb and easily digest everything and assimilate. All right. That's the reason why we choose GAG. Now we talk about sourcing. The second S is sourcing, material identification and quality control. We find the highest active component. We try to find the highest active component, stable and safe material. All right. That is the one we first we want to select this one, but we have this major concern about the soil condition, whether it is any concern about insect infestation, farming, the way they farm, do they rest the soil so we don't have to use any chemical fertilizer, bacteria, microorganism. On this aspect, there's one time Michael Chen shared with us, they were trying to find a source for ginseng. They went to the region in China, the northeastern region in China, and they try to where ginseng is being cultivated, and lots of ginseng harvest and business and of moving growing and selling ginseng is a big industry there. But to his or our disappointment, a lot of soil has been already been contaminated with fungus. So the ginseng will grow with fungus in it, and the fungus will affect the component or the active part, good beneficial parts of the ginseng. So, and if we harvest the ginseng and store them, dry them, store them, and then fungus starting to grow, it will affect the commercial value of it. Some of the merchants will start to spray fungicide. Michael Chen told me some of the fungicide were banned by World Health Organization even many years ago, but still being applied. All right, and test. The last one is test. We will test them. We will test them on the site before we even decide to use them, and we will test them in our house, in-house analytical chemistry. We will apply our raw material. We don't trust any supplier's word. We don't trust their test because they could tell us any story. And we test it. We have our own standard, and that is the standard I have never heard in the past, because FDA had a very set a standard, US FDA. In order for any manufacturer to process a natural remedy herbal product, there's a standard. You cannot have any of the 35 supposedly harmful, poisonous materials, for example, like lead or poison and arsenic. And these are like very popular, very common. It's not popular. Commonly known toxin. Cannot find 35 of them. But that is the FDA standard. One time I was taking a tour in New Skin headquarters. We went through the Pharmanex laboratories, and one of the scientists was like sharing with us a bunch of team elites on this analytical chemistry lab. Okay, this lab has a huge, gigantic machine. So this lab tests all the raw material. Before we even put the material into production, we will put them through a rigorous test, and that we set our own quality assurance testing standard. And guess how many elements that we set this machine to test for? It's our own standard. It's far harder to achieve, higher standard in the world. There are over 5,000 elements cannot be found. We test against 5,000. FDA has standard for 35, and our own standard is 5,000. That shows you how our product, can be safely taken because our standard is different. And that is why, remember the second slide with the newspaper? That newspaper want to invite New Skin to do a presentation and share with the people in the food industry how we carefully assure the food is safe. And that is the standard that shocked and got lots of people in the food industry scared, because there's no way they would come out with this kind of standard. All right, why do we become so rigid and so difficult with the source? Because there are a lot of problems with today farming and storage and transportation and process. This modernization creates a lot of problem for natural remedies, because we find in the farming part, a lot of farms are contaminated with heavy metal. The heavy metal found in the soil could be actually from your underground water. The contamination may not be sprayed, but come from underground, your water source. You have pesticide they would want to use in order to maintain their crops yields. They want to bring out the highest yield, and the time they harvest them, and the soil they keep using them. The storage part, they improperly store the raw material, but the bugs and mold and the even rats infest this storage area, and they have to use all kinds of insecticide, rodenticide, and so on. It's scary when you think about it, because if you take any Chinese medicine through those dried form, and you can't bring them home to brew them and cook whatever that you follow the list of prescription by your Chinese herbal doctor, you buy them, well, first of all, you're not sure you bought the right plant. Secondly, right parts. Secondly, maybe they are right, but when you put them through a cooking and like brewing in the water, you don't know they are contaminated with insecticide or not, or even grow with mold already. You don't know, okay? And the way we brew them, process them, the temperature, and it could affect their efficacy. So after we carefully make sure we are taking the genuine quality, the long history, and high safety and low toxicity assurance, then we are now perfectly comfortable to understand that with Pharmanex, we control every step of the way of for the raw material to be used. And that's a wake-up call. Tea green, for example. Selection made from different tea supplier. By testing the tea components, we find out inside of their tea leaves what is the components they have. They have material identification and quality control. We find 4 different locations, A, B, C, and D, and we find tea polyphenol, catechin, and EGCG. 4 different, actually 3 different components in different percentage. Obviously, the location A will come out being selected because it has the highest tea polyphenol count. Okay, Rishi Max. This is Rishi's scientific name. It is called the red Rishi. That is the common name. It's cultured, the red Rishi culture from basswood. Basswood is very commonly used to grow like mushrooms, but normally you will find mushroom grow in a plastic container and filled with chips, wood chips, maybe basswood chips, but not like this one. This is a tree stump. Tree stump is a natural, as close as a natural way of any reishi would grow, or in Mother Nature, that's how reishi grow. They grow on tree stumps, sometimes dead tree, right? So we try to imitate the natural way of growth. Our site of cultivation is in a Chinese national park. It's absolutely free from any insecticides. It's certified totally organic, and is the fastest, I mean the closest manufacturing plant or industrial site is hundreds of miles away. So we know there couldn't be any contamination of water and soil or air. And that is where we grow our reishi. We harvest within 16 days of when after the reishi mushroom release the spores. Then within 15 days, we will harvest the reishi whole plant. And the spores must be collected within 7 days. In 7 days, we collect them. And it's a very manpower consumed, very painstaking way of harvesting the spores just by using brush to brush them into by hand into a small container, and that's how we collect all the spores. We use only the first mushroom that grow on each basswood stem. They make each mushroom or each stem could grow more than one mushroom, but we only use the first mushroom. All right. See, now we move on to understand the third one, that is the structure, the chemical fingerprint. Any chemical parts have its own chemical structure. We call it the chemical fingerprint. We study the chemical structure for only the major components. We want to have an active component to confirm it is correct. Because we study the active component, and that active component is what we want. So we only identify that is in the right exist in the material that we want to use is the correct fingerprint. And so we can formulate the final product to establish sustainable extraction and the way that we process them. It will develop into a standard operation procedure by using the right way to manufacture, to process them time after time. And this is the machine, HPLC, for the chemical fingerprints. Active component in GAG, we find is the beta-carotene and lycopene. The HPLC test will give you this kind of graph. And by noticing the highest peak, that is the beta-carotene. And why it is definitely a beta-carotene? Because of its, look it down below, that number is where beta-carotene should be and lycopene should be. And we find they have the very high peak, and then the second highest peak is the major component. So if we correct our final product with these two, then we'll have a guaranteed result. Reishi, the structure of reishi you can find in the our Reishi Max. Okay, find from the our Reishi Max. Because we want to get the benefit of regulating our immune function is our main purpose. So we identify the peak and each component's benefits. For Ganoderma polysaccharide, Ganoderma is the Reishi's scientific name. For polysaccharide, it is enhance immune system, suppress tumor, improve liver function. Now, the Ganoderma triterpenoids protect liver, improve allergy condition, reduce inflammation, lower cholesterol. And then there are many other components down below, but they are not important because some of them are covered by the first two, the Ganoderma polysaccharide and the Ganoderma triterpenoids. These two components are the major ones we want to standardize according to these components. And we want to standardize, find this structure and know having this chemical components, and now we ensure our product quality and efficacy according to the structures components percentage. The guidance for the standardization is make sure the active at the correct dosage. We use the correct dosage, they are active, so we want to maintain that dosage. We quantify at least one active component. How do we know it is the right one? Yeah, we done a lot of study, and we want to make sure the dosage, that one is in this amount, all right? Now we try to at least adjust the amount based on at least one. For example, our tea green catechin, we have tea polyphenol at least 97%. It is found in standardized in our tea green. Every single tea green product, every batch, year after year. 10 years ago, it was this way. Years later, 20 years later, our tea green will still be this way. Tea polyphenol greater than 97%. In this 97%, we have at least 65% catechins. And then 65% catechins, there are 38% EGCG. That is our standardization. So no matter what is in the tea component, we need to adjust it according to this number. Because we are standardized, now we can be sure to share with our friends. Maybe I have a friend in Holland and I want her to use my tea green. They can buy tea green there, and then or Rishi Max. Rishi purchase from any market in the world will be equally effective and have the same high quality standard, exactly the same as the Rishi that you buy in Malaysia. The proprietary manufacturing process will give you guarantee 13.5% polysaccharide and 6% triterpenoids. All right. Tea green. We have a patent on three different major patent we apply based on our tea green. We got a standardization patent. We cannot patent tea, we cannot patent polyphenol, but we can patent formulation standardization. Okay, that is unusual because none of the tea in the world can be standardized, but we can. Another one is tea catechin cancer proliferation inhibitors. It is, we cannot patent catechin, we can patent its usage, okay, for the usage cancer proliferation inhibitor. And we also can patent slow release, sustained release formulation. The way we provide tea catechins, we can obtain, we are granted with patent formulation, we are granted with usage formulation usage patent. We also granted with patent for standardization patent. So we standardize them, and we now we have come to the point that we do move on to safety. The safety analysis is based on historic paper, traditional food use, and lab study. Now, people may eat and historically we use them, but historically they are safe, but that doesn't mean today it is still safe, because manufacturing process will apply, and sometimes we have people who bought our product and they use it not just right away, they probably use it a couple of years later. Now we want to be sure they are still very safe, right? And they are totally safe when they use too much of it, a lot of it. This is what we normally do. We find tea green is very, very beneficial. This is what happened to me one time. I read a paper, a French study. Cat can help reduce weight, increase metabolism. So one time I decided I want to give it a try. I used 10 times the dosage. I'm not kidding you. I did that. And then for a while, it benefited me a lot. I didn't lose weight because I didn't, persist long enough. It just for maybe a month period of time, I find it's just amazing product. I can share with you later. Now, we want to do the ingredient analysis to look at the check if there's any residual pesticide, any trace amount of pesticide, any trace amount of insecticide, microorganism contamination. Bacteria can grow in there, fungus can grow in there if you don't process it properly. Any toxin, any element, any heavy metal, we still want to, even though our material sourcing come all these concern free, but we still, our end product, we also want to be sure they are perfectly safe. On the toxicity study, we test acute toxicity test. We do 90-day oral toxicity study. We do gene mutation test, cell nucleus damage test. We do sperm damage test. We do other specific toxicity tests. All these tests, one by one, are to ensure the safety of our product and safety to consumer for long-term use. Persistent long-term use is our behavior, right? We take Pharmanex product, but want to be sure they are, absolutely safe. So we can share with other people, so we can have our children in their generation, they can perfectly get comfortable taking them. Another example here about red rice yeast. In the old way, they are, when it's fermented, rice fermented with red rice yeast, this bacteria, red rice yeast. All right, we find it could be contaminated with aflatoxin. This kind of toxin easily get contaminated with this way of fermentation, and then it could induce liver toxin. This liver toxin of aflatoxin is category number one toxin classified by World Health Organization to cancer causing. Number one carcinogen, class 1 carcinogen in the food is aflatoxin, all right, number one from World Health Organization. And our way of manufacturing the red rice yeast is a different way of fermentation. It's solid state. It's not as our contaminate or our traditional way of fermentation. Usually fermentation require humid condition, right? To grow, in order for them to grow, it has to be like even watery condition with lots of moisture. Well, we invented a solid state fermentation process, so it is toxin free. Ingredient analysis, we found before we put out on the market our fish oil alone, our optimal omega. This is not even marine omega, optimal omega, very cheap and very, very inexpensive item of our product list, our line of products. We make sure they are very safe and its purity is guaranteed. We test against 60 elements, over 60 elements, like heavy metals, mercury, cadmium, chromium, arsenic, and so on. Then we also test all kinds of pesticide, insecticide, because nowadays our ocean water is contaminated with all kinds of heavy metal, pesticide, and so on. And also toxins like dioxin, for example. Dioxin is, its nickname is the toxin of the century. Toxin of the century. Very, very, very toxic. I have no taste, give you no taste. So we want to be sure our fish oil is totally free from dioxin and all these anything. We check the acid value for fatty acid, free fatty acid, and H2O2. We check the iodine value. We check the microorganism content. Over 60 elements are tested, right? So we check our end product. So is it safe? Yes, you can be sure they are safe. We check product safety worldwide. We do periodic testing continuously. We do periodic testing. There's a schedule, and from this time on, and we check and check and check. We follow through, make sure they are safe all the time. This is our manufacturing site, one of the raw material processing site. That's in China, Huzhou. By the way, we can, if we interested, we can even tour the facility in Huzhou. But this is a picture taken many years ago, maybe at least 8 years ago. No, maybe over 15 years ago, probably. But today, if you tour this Huzhou site, it is very much into modern day. And look at this. It's a standard that is at that time is already very impressive, clean and sophisticated and polished, like you can eat on the floor. All right. So this is our site. If you're interested, you can take a tour. The last one, 6S, the S6, substantiation. The whole point of this 6S is to make sure our products, our Pharmanex product, are substantiated by scientific method. So we do this to complete this substantiation. Study existing research work. We design our experiment procedure. We start to draft protocols. We do preparation work. Then we carry on with the experiment, follow the protocol, and then we evaluate. The result reviewed by panel of scientists. Collect data, and then we broke the key for the double-blind placebo study. We have bringing the biostatisticians to analyze the data. And then finally, we put together paper. This is what we call scientific study, but we don't just stop there. The very important part is to publish the result on peer-reviewed journal, or we report result on international conference. Either way, we do peer-reviewed journal publishing because we want to be sure it is being critiqued by editors, by scientists, the most harsh and highest standard. So we want to be published on the peer-reviewed journal. Okay, now, for example, we have this test. We have Tigrin and Reishi Max against S180 cancer tumor. We inoculate this S180 cancer on the day 15 or day 14, maybe I did a typo, it should be day 14. So we have 5 groups of mice, and we have placebo group. To have any scientific paper worth of being published, we gotta have placebo group. Then these are test group. We compare the efficacy of Reishi Max alone with different dosage, or Reishi Max plus Tigrin with 2 different kinds of dosage schedule. Okay, look at this. So we start the feeding on the first. We take weight, take the body weight, so we know how much medication or the test sample, Reishi, in this case, Reishi Max or Reishi plus Tigrin, that we should feed the white mice from day 0. Then on day 14, we inoculate this cancer cell, S180. But on 2 weeks later, we sacrifice the mice, and then we get the tumor mass. We weigh them. We find, okay, look at this, placebo, tumor weight's very high. Reishi alone, we get no control. They're controlled. But reishi, higher level, higher dosage, 0.8 and 0.2 is different in potency. And then it's also different in reduction efficacy. But look at the reishi max plus T-green, only use 1/2, 50% of the original 0.2, now is 0.1 plus 0.1. We find it is more effective, slightly effective than reishi max alone. Now the highest and the best result yield is reishi plus T-green. So now we have this study, and we find it very important, and lo and behold, we publish this paper. We find, and this paper is being published, and also this paper is selected, being chosen as out of 10,000 paper that year. Then we are invited by Experimental Biology's annual conference. We are invited to do a paper presentation. All right. So this is the paper presentation. This is the document. This is the paper that we published on FASEB journal. All right. So difference demonstrated. Another test we did is our scientists attended a major convention, major conference in China, 2008 Chinese Mycology Conference. Attendees were from the academic, top scholars. They are doctors and a lot of PhDs, a lot of leading scientists in the academic world. But the only representative from the industry, this industry of nutritional supplement, came from Pharmanex Beijing Clinical Research Center. And together with the scientists from like Li Changlin and Josh Chu. Josh is now in Hong Kong. He's teaching, I think, Hong Kong Polytech University. They published the T-green plus Reishi Max. They also published a lot of, I think actually 4 different Codimax paper on this at this event, this conference. Another scientific study is probably the only one that you will find in multiple vitamin, multiple supplement intakes for efficacy and the serum existence of the serum level. For example, our life pack here, LDL protection. Here I want to take a little time to explain. We don't want to protect LDL. Because LDL is cholesterol that found in your blood, but if our LDL level is too high, then we consider we have a higher rate of having heart problem, or our blood vessel would be problem with plaque in the blood vessel. That is LDL being oxidized by free radical, attacked by free radical in the blood. So after taking LiPack, can we find benefit of LDL being oxidized? Because after all, LDL oxidization caused the problem, caused the foaming of the LDL and caused the plaque build up in your blood vessel. But if the LDL is not being oxidized, then LDL become no longer a threat in your blood vessel, isn't it? So look at the baseline. You have placebo and you have LifePak, and LDL protection power increased, and significantly it is statistically significant at this level. Okay, so we found this benefit, and we published the paper in this journal. FASEB journal. It's a periodic. This journal is a world class journal. Vitamin E found in the serum. Vitamin beta carotene exists in the serum. Okay, so look at this baseline and look at the endpoint. You'll find if you take LifePak, you will find beta carotene level increase. Today we can also, this is done in the year 1999, published this data, but now we prove the product works. Higher beta carotenoids level through biophotonic scanner. All right, so we have now a lot of substantiation to biophotonic scanner study. We also did a study on Cordymax, improve stamina, improve a lot of oxygen intake. We have three different groups of study we conducted. In Beijing, we study healthy seniors. We find the improvement of existing, it's very significant, improve oxygen intake during exercise, improve endurance and physical condition. That's healthy seniors in Beijing. We also did a healthy non-athletic adults in Boston, USA. Okay, exactly the same kind of improvement. Improve oxygen intake during exercise, improve endurance and physical condition. The third study is conducted under for the healthy young male athletes, right? Now, healthy young athletes they do very rigorous exercise. They also are more challenging. They want to always challenge higher, level exercise, different kinds of exercise. So we find this increased sports performance, physical endurance, speed up the recovery of cardiovascular system. So 3 different kinds of study, and for different age, against different age of people, all provide great result. So Cordymax enhanced stamina, this test is also being reported and posted on the scientific journal. So review again: selection, sourcing, structure, standardization, safety, and substantiation. Let me share with you. Because we did this structure, so we can do standardization. Because we have standardization, we can do scientific study or clinical study. But without safety, there's no way we can conduct any safety at all, any substantiation. Because in order to have a substantiation qualified as a appeal to doctors, we have to pass this safety test. Because you cannot give any volunteers something that have any safety concerns, right? So structure, standardization, safety, finally we can yield to substantiation and produce paper that has quality, that has integrity, that can be challenged by scientists, by peer reviewed test. So look at this and understand the benefit and the meaning of each one of them. We understand our number one priority for Pharmanex is safety and quality. It's not the cost. This is coming from Pharmanex, the company's point of view. As a distributor or consumer myself, I'm a distributor, I'm also a consumer. My number one concern would be safety and efficacy. Because company had done substantiation. So I know the efficacies are scientifically proved. It's not just by testimonials, because doctors would not believe in testimonials. They said it is not scientific. I understand what they talk about. In order for them to trust our product, we must provide them with scientific tests and peer-reviewed journal published. So when we take our product, we are not like in the past, we take it in the darkness. We are not. Today, we only take Pharmanex products because it's the only product on the market that gives you assurance, and you can assure it is absolutely safe and absolutely give you the result. Safe and result is what we have. Now we have come to the point to conclude our talk, but I also want to share with you our 6S also extend to our today, our age lock product. No matter it is our internal that we take internally or the product we use externally, every single product must meet the 6S quality assurance, the standard. Our skincare products are now carry 6S. Our essential oil product, also 6S. That is a product in the essential oil industry, unheard of. Unheard of. No company can come up with this standard. And we find this is the only way Nu Skin Pharmanex would want to produce the product. The only way would even consider producing the product. That is all. Thank you very much, and hope you find our product effective and benefit for you to sustain younger and vigorous life forever. Thank you.